right, and we are live. Episode one, or I guess 1A, the first one we didn't really launch, we just kind of practiced with it. So, episode one officially of the Hoboken Real Estate Advisor podcast. I've got some of my best friends and my lovely wife on the pod with me today, and we are your Hoboken Real Estate Advisors. We're going to talk a little bit right now about who we are, why we're here, what the heck we're doing. And we're going to talk about a few different things here. We're going to get into a little like market update and then also into a buyer experience. I mean, what we're here to do generally is we realized that the power together was better than us each individually trying to build brands and build content and do things. And collectively, we were better and stronger. So Hoboken Real Estate Advisors is going to touch on everything Hoboken real estate market, but also like community, what's happening in the community, what's new businesses that are opening, what are new trends we're seeing, what are developments we're seeing, and just kind of get a home and a place for everything real estate related here in Hoboken and even an extra layer of community. So I'm Jeff Bonk. We'll go around the room and introduce ourselves real quick. Just give light 30-second introductions, guys, and like why you're excited about this new brand and new kind of passion project we're all kicking off. Who wants to start?
Yeah, I'm happy to go first. So I'm Christian Gonzalez. I've been with this core group, let's say, for the past year and a half, but holistically, I've been working in real estate more or less the same amount of time. I have background in real estate prior to that in my finance world, but nonetheless, this allowed me the opportunity to be a little bit more entrepreneurial and bring a different skill set to the industry, particularly when it comes to being more of an advisor style and thinking more big picture when it comes to finance and real estate. But nonetheless, very excited about the opportunity here and working with you all.
All right, I love it. Mark.
Mark Staley, and I have a 8-year background now in real estate. And it started with buying our home in Hoboken, New Jersey. That made me want to just get into this business and help others do the same thing we have done. I think that's the spice of life, helping others do things a little more easily. So I'm here to help, and I'm very happy to be a part of this group. And I can't wait to see where this podcast leads.
Awesome. And we're going to give Mark a break on any audio or visual things. We're bothering him while he's on vacation for this first podcast. So I think we feel off 45 minutes. We're a little choppy there just for a second, but I think your Wi-Fi will stabilize. So anybody want to give Mark a hard time for his audio visual setup, know that he's on vacation. And we pulled him into this room, and he's the man. So, Red, bring us home.
I'm Danielle, legal name, and Red, which is what everybody calls me since high school, Bonk. Jeff Bonk's wife, and I've been in this business for 21 years. I know I don't look that old, but it's true. Started off in the suburbs, and then it wasn't until I moved to Hoboken in 2010 to be closer to my dad that I fell in love with real estate. I actually bought my first home when I was 25 years old, also, when I'd first gotten into real estate. And Jeff and I have been buying and selling and all the things since, and I couldn't love it anymore. I service the Uptown luxury doorman, elevator, townhome community. Love, love, love it. Love Hoboken. Been my hometown now since 2010. So happy to help.
Awesome. I love it. And it looks like Mark hopped for a second, but I'm sure he will be back in just a bit. Let me see one thing here. All right, cool. So we got everybody introduced. Everyone knows who everybody is here. And look, this is something that I've been making content for a long time. I love making content. I think it's something that's very valuable. I get a lot of people follow, not a lot of followers, and I'm not some kind of influencer. But obviously, when I talk to people, like, hey, I see your videos. That's really helpful. When I was doing a lot of market updates, when we're doing business owner interviews back in the day, Red. Remember we were kind of doing our 5-question Fridays.
Oh, I
So
love that.
it's something that, yeah, it's a ton of fun to do. And I think it brings a lot of value to the market and provides a lot of good information. So, you know, Christian, what are you excited about this group? Like, why do you think this is necessary? What's the void we're filling in the marketplace? Like, what's your overall thoughts on what we're doing here and why you're excited about it?
Yeah, well, I think this group is forward thinking, and that very much resonates with me because I've learned in life that the second you think that you have things figured out, you're already too late. So you always have to be looking ahead. Where is the industry going? What are pain points that clients are basically feeling in today's world, and what are they going to feel in the future? So, for example, rates. We all thought rates were coming back down once they popped to the sixes. That is not happening. We are going to be fighting through this for quite some time. So when I say forward thinking, we have elaborate chats on, how can we work with clients and with our lenders to make home affordability a little bit more palatable. So when it comes to this group and just holistically, I don't want to be surrounded by people that are stale. Kind of just looking at a Zestimate and just saying, hey, I'm a realtor here to just open the door for you is unacceptable. I mean, people will read right through that. And I don't want to do that. What I want to do is I want to be a value oriented advisor where people say, hey, Christian really brought a ton of value to me. I don't think I could have gotten into this home without him. I don't think we would have gotten the sale price without him. And it's not just me, it's the holistic real estate advisors kind of cloth that I want to basically spread as far as we can.
100%. I think that's the word I really want to lean into, is that advisor word. That we're not salespeople. I mean, yes, we sell. We definitely help negotiate. We navigate. We have sales skills. But at the end of the day, we want to advise people. We want to make sure people have a good experience, that they have all the information. I always say it's my job to get you all the information and help you make the best decision for you, right? That's what an advisor does. And a lot of real estate people are advisors, but a lot aren't, unfortunately. And I think bringing it together here, having these conversations regularly, will continue to helpfully add value into the community of giving people the proper perspective on things they're buying, selling, renting, investing. So I think you said it perfectly. Red, what are you excited about? Are you just excited about me telling you to come and hang out with awesome people and talking to us every once a week?
Well, like you touched on before, and I kind of forgot about a little bit. Remember when we did 5 question Fridays and we were in the community, ingrained in the community, meeting the new restaurant owners, meeting the old restaurant owners, hair salons, school, like all the different fun things, and supporting our local small businesses, and just being out there in the community, getting our names out there, introducing ourselves, asking how we can be helpful to others. That's what I thrive on, and I love being out there with the people to see who we could possibly help. So, getting back into the grassroots of our community that we know, love, and know they know, love, and trust us and like us. I think that's important in building this community up and being the advisors in town. As we know where all the best stuff is, all the good stuff is, all the local stuff is. So. I like
Awesome.
that aspect of it. You know me, I'm very social.
I love that. Yep, absolutely. And I'll make this promise too, right? It's called the Hoboken Real Estate Advisors. We are 4 agents who work all for EXP Realty, all for the Align team here in Hoboken. And we all have individual books of business. We collaborate a lot, we share a lot. But we're going to talk about Hoboken. We're going to talk about real estate. And then we're going to evolve this thing to talk about anything that's helpful and useful to the marketplace. If doing interviews with business owners is exciting, awesome. If doing regular market updates is what we get a lot of feedback on, that's good. We'll do more of those. Doing building tours, doing anything that we find is like really adding value to the marketplace. That's what we're here to really do. So that's kind of the culmination of who we are, why we're here, and what we're doing. So, anybody else want to add anything? Oh, can we get Mark back?
I'm back.
There he is.
Mark. All right. Bring us home. We were just finishing up talking about what we're doing here, why we're excited about it, talking about just adding value to the community, Hoboken real estate, evolving this brand and this kind of conversation to continue to just meet the community at where they're at and give as much value as we can that people are receiving and excited about. So give us the 30 seconds, 60 seconds on why you're excited about this group and seeing it unfold and evolve, and then we'll jump into another topic.
For me, it's easy answer. It's level of service. I like the idea of delivering an exceptional level of service. And the only way to do that is collaboration. The fact that I can pick up the phone and I have the 3 of these partners picking my call up on the first ring and allowing me to figure out the next steps for my client is unbelievable. I mean, that is like you can't operate in this ecosystem that we're in without that collaborative approach. In my opinion, it is a very challenging market out there. We want to insulate the clients from how hard it is to buy and sell a house. And the way to do that is by having a group of peers that are all exceptional and we all work together. So that's it in a nutshell.
I
I
love
love it.
that.
I
I
love
couldn't
it.
agree more too. And even though I've been in the business for 21 years, I have often picked up from the three of you and from others in our team just something, a small little tweak. Red, why don't you structure it this way? Or why don't you work with the agent to do X, Y, and Z? And a light bulb goes off. Wow, I didn't even think about that tiny, tiny little tweak. It's like, in the golf swing, just that tiny tweak of the wrist, and boom, you're hitting it another 100 yards.
That's it.
Sure.
I have a quick anecdote. I worked for a top developer here in Hoboken for a couple of years, and one of the things that make him as successful as he is this first ring. The fact that he could call people, they would pick his call up on the first ring. He would ask them to do something or ask them to help him with something, and they would say yes and hang up and go do that thing. So it really there's something to that, and this HREA is our answer to this, and it allows us to just offer an incredible level of service to our clients.
I love that too. Should we brand ourselves the First Ring Advisors?
I like that.
I don't know about that.
Christian's
Uh,
like, man, I don't know. I got time blocks. I got.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
All right, let's pivot. I love it. All right, so that's who we are. That's where we're going. We're all super excited and committed to it for sure. It's July 1st. This will probably come out early next week after the 4th of July weekend, but we're at the midway point of the year. It's kind of like the official kickoff to summer to me. I know Memorial Day is kind of, but 4th of July is to me is kind of the midway mark of the year, end of the spring market. What are we seeing in the Hoboken real estate market right now? Let's sum up, the first half of the year, maybe the, meat and potatoes of spring market, and kind of project a little bit of what we're expecting into the summer, just from conversations we're having with other agents, with our clients, with our friends, colleagues, community, people in the community. So let's kick it off. Where you want to go? Christian, you want to take us
Yeah,
out?
I'm happy to start, at least with my view. What I'm seeing is fatigue. I think people are tired. I think the market continuing to trickle up and rates not being helpful. I just think people are tired. I mean, I think last year was challenging. So then whatever spillover we had in terms of buyers, this year was a bit of a now or never, and a lot of them went with the now, and it was either we're gonna dig deep and we're gonna find a way to get into this town, or we have to start looking at the surrounding areas, which is painful from my standpoint because all we want is for our clients to be happy and to get the lives they want. But that's also an opportunity for us to get creative. So, for example, there was a few bids that we won just because we weren't necessarily the highest price point, but we had terms that A, were aggressive, but B, based on the work that we did in the background, we protected the client because there's a level of just kind of flinging it and being irresponsible versus genuinely doing your homework to have a strong understanding of, hey, I think this will appraise in this range. I could be wrong, but I feel pretty confident based on what I'm seeing. And then structuring the offer to alleviate the seller of that appraisal risk and kind of making your bid a little bit more appealing. And frankly, that worked out. But nonetheless, it works sometimes. For other times, I would summarize it as fatigue. I think people are struggling with the price point and rates and all that.
Yeah, what you just said, now or never, was interesting to me because we've seen so many people in the first half of this year come in with such big numbers, especially like when you look at uptown in Hudson T, where we do a lot of business, where Red's book of business is strong. People are just like, I'm not like, I've got the funds. I know this is crazy. I'm coming in a couple hundred grand over. I'm coming over 100 grand over, 10, 15, 20% over, try to keep this thing off market or try to shut it down right away. And it is that like now or never. It's like there's so few transactions that I have to get into this desperation mode to get into town, which is sad. It stinks because there's a lot of people who want to move who aren't able to either just compete or willing to financially either. So, yeah, that's a very good insight, I think. Red, what are you seeing? Yeah, I know been quite busy the last few months in the uptown market.
Yeah, I felt that it got off to a really sluggish start. I don't know if we have an insanely cold winter, or where
Yeah, I
was
mean,
everyone?
cold winter.
My normal spring market is February. February starts the kickoff right after Super Bowl, President's Day, all that. I didn't see a huge flurry of my sellers that would typically come to me and say, "What do I need to do to prep my place for the spring market?" It slid into May and even June, early June. I had folks, "Hey, I'm putting offers in on properties elsewhere in the burbs, etc. Can you come by? What do I need to do to get my place on the market?" And it's like, okay, guys, we're up against 4th of July soon. So it was an interesting market that sort of slid into the summer. But it was okay because, like you said, Christian, buyers are still out there, though they're fatigued. There are still those folks that are all cash or can be similar to all cash in terms of their offer terms. So I'm still seeing a strong demand. I feel like Hoboken has retained its value, and I feel that there's that sort of crystal ball out there that folks are like, we need to get into Hoboken, the Hoboken market. This place is on fire and still on fire. There's other people I've heard, buyers, waiting for prices to come down. I really wish I could tell you if that's going to happen, but I don't know that that's going to happen. And also, do you want to buy in a depreciating market? I'm not sure. Is that really a good strategy?
Yeah,
So I'm
and
seeing
Red,
and
to
hearing.
add, Red, I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize, but to add to that point where you're mentioning how the buyer market, they're potentially looking for a scale back, that also gives the holistic market a ton of confidence because, for example, if you have a price point of your home where you're like, okay, I've achieved 6% year after year after year, that's not coming back 6% thereafter. There's a whole monster of buyers out there that if you even scaled back 1 or 2%, they're there for the taking. So to that point that there's a ton of fatigue on the buyer side, as a homeowner in this region, that has to give you a ton of comfort that you have a very safe asset. This is only going to either trend up or go sideways at worst.
Right.
And I think that's actually, that mindset you just finished with, Christian, of the seller side, of the homeowner side. Nobody wants to sell a property that's going up. I mean, yeah, lock in rates, one thing, but like even 7 arms, 5 year arms, like those things are resetting. And a lot of people bought on those. So like you can say, oh, well, the rates are higher now. So maybe they're ready to put the home. Not when it goes up, not when you list a home for 1.6, 1.65, expecting to get something around there. And then all of a sudden you get 1.8, 1.9. Like who wants to sell that when you see that happen to your neighbor if you're not pressed to sell right now? So I think that expectation of this work going to the moon forever is actually working against us too for just an inventory restriction piece.
And
That's
Mark,
what
you're doing a lot of the big townhome stuff too. I mean, the top price in town on townhomes or even condos was around 4 million, and now we're far surpassing that.
We're going through that. Yeah, we've seen a big uptick in pricing just in the last year, and it seems to be because of this inventory problem.
Yeah.
I can take a cue from Jeff, what Jeff just said. People, even if they do want to upsize and downsize, when they're owning in Hoboken, they can put incredible tenants in place and turn it into an income generating asset and then go buy and be in the property that really suits their lifestyle at this point in time. That's a luxury. I mean, that's something that a lot of municipalities don't have. They don't have this huge pool of professionals have making really good income,
Right.
top credit scores. I mean, some of these tenants that are renting in Hoboken are just great humans with great backgrounds and great income generating skills, and ideal for someone that is a first time landlord. So that it makes it harder for the buyers
yeah.
that it's such a great place to own.
So I think like what we're how we sum up the first half of the year from the buyers, I guess sellers perspective as well, is you need to be fully committed if you want to buy in Hoboken. You've got to be ready to act quickly, act strongly, um, and really it's becoming that kind of like now or never and desperation type thing. So what does that mean? I mean, for buyers, you have to be willing to do that, or unfortunately, start thinking about some secondary markets, right? So start thinking about areas where there is some inventory, like downtown Jersey City has a little bit more inventory than Hoboken. So if you're willing to move a town over, deal with some of the taxes and higher HOAs and a little bit of a different lifestyle, that might be an option. Other people, I think, are staying in the rental bucket and then waiting to move out to the suburbs. Like a lot of people used to buy 5 or 6 years, rent it out or sell it and move to the burbs. Now I think we see a lot more people that are just staying, renting through that whole cycle, which is happening as well. So it's a matter of knowing, I think, what these options are, and then not driving yourself nuts with it either. Like if you're not willing to compete in a market, just stay in the situation you're in or move to a secondary market, because you can't just keep wishing for the market to change. I think that's where insanity comes in.
Yeah,
Well,
and if I could add to that point, we're basically focused here now on the challenges of this town in itself. But there's local areas that have reaped such benefits from it. And what I'm really pointing to is the Heights, because I'm relatively new to this area. I moved to Hoboken in 2022, and I swear every month that I went back to the Heights, it was like I see a progression, I see a
yeah,
jump, I see a this, I see a that. And it's happening now like almost every 2 weeks where I'm like, man, another house is getting knocked down and built into a new condo. Man, there's like this cool like stucco wall that they just repainted and like it has like a mural on it. Like,
Oh,
oh,
no.
there's a new cafe. And then you just start looking around, you're like, this is an awesome town. Like
It's
they have
yeah,
beautiful.
they have they have the park up there with the view. I think it's called the River. I forget the name of it, but nonetheless, it's reaping the benefits of this. Let's call it spillover. And if somehow, some way, I mean, logistically, it's not possible. But if there was a path or a light rail up there, I think it would absolutely explode because
agreed.
the bus is nice, but people want options, right? They want diversity when it comes to public transport.
But
Absolutely.
directly in Hoboken, don't sleep on the west side. The west side has seen an explosion too, and we have the light rail. We have modes of transportation back there. And the west side has so much construction. Look at the northwest section of town. Holy cow, there's a brand new building going up everywhere, all behind the West Elm and Trader Joe's and all that. Even look at the numbers we're seeing at 800 Jackson. Man, these guys are definitely, the wave has just gone from east to west, and the property values are booming back there. So I would say, putting my buyer's agent hat on, don't sleep on the west side of Hoboken,
Absolutely.
because those numbers are rising. And also, buyers that are super savvy and haven't fatigued and are not ready to just go on vacation, hit the beach and mail it in, right now there are some deals to be had in that marketplace. There are some properties with days on market ticking up. Go in and swoop in on those properties, because you might be able to get a seller who is ready to take an offer under that asking price that may have been a little egregious. Maybe they were shooting for the stars, and perhaps this is the time to pop in there and say, hey, I'm going to make this really great, really strong, serious offer, and they might just take it.
Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of the West Side, I have a prediction that I wish I could put on Polymarket, but I will put any amount of money on the light rail having a new stop in that back corner in 5 years, guaranteed.
Back right stop, like
Yeah,
northwest.
yeah, where those new
Yeah.
big buildings are going in,
Oh yeah.
100% there will be a light rail stop
Absolutely.
there.
New Jersey
100.
Transit has already earmarked
Committed to it.
the land. They own the land for a 15th Street stop. So that's inevitable.
All right, so let's get the bet on Polymarket and make some money.
I'm not sure it'll
That
be very
area,
well funded, but you could
that
try.
area is going to be, I can't wait to see it in a couple years, because there is new construction everywhere. We talked about this on our last one. Oh my goodness.
There has been momentous change. You mentioned 800 Jackson Metro stop. When they built that building, they completed it in 2007. They had to offer a 20-year tax abatement
That's
in order to help convince people to buy into that building. And they ended up going into the financial crisis with a ton of vacancy. The developer had a difficult time with the process. It took till 2009, even 2010 before they had sold off all the condominiums, and now it's trading at, the apartments with a view are over $1 million for
Yep.
a two-bedroom.
There was a bidding war there just a couple weeks ago. So it's
Yeah,
happening.
it's a place that everyone wants to live. The business district in that area has completely exploded, and
Yeah.
that's the quality of life part that I think we all can talk about more readily is that what Christian was saying about the heights. That quality of life that our people are seeing up there has vastly improved. There's coffee shops. There used to be one, now there's three. There's sandwich shops. Bread and Salt has a line out the door. That farmers market on Sundays is bonkers. There are vendors. There's a matcha tea person that has like a 30-minute wait to get a matcha tea because it's so good. And these vendors are doing such good work. It's an impressive area, and it also benefits from its proximity to Hoboken and all that the Hoboken Business District also offers. So yeah, we are providing a high quality of life in that area.
Boom.
100%. So I want to, as we were talking about how great Hoboken is again, right? Because we get back to that topic a lot. I was thinking about the topic we just kind of, or the theme that we just talked about for a second, which was how hard it is to buy in Hoboken and how great it is. And one thing that kind of just got in my mind was off-market transactions, which we could like transition into maybe the next topic with this, where we're going to talk a little bit about the buyer experience. Mark, that flow that you sent us, that you said, hey, we should definitely go through this. Off market's a weird thing right now. So if you're not aware of this as a buyer or seller out there, there's a big move in the real estate industry about keeping more properties off market. If there should be more properties off market, if there's benefits, if there's not. And the one thing I know is that if you're a buyer, the fragmentation and keeping off market of properties is not a good thing for you. Like, you don't see the inventory, you don't see it, you don't know what's there. But what I will say, and kind of going into like what the buyer's experience with us, is when you do start looking for a property in a tough market, especially like a Hoboken or a lot of areas in Jersey, you need to make sure with your agent, you're getting so deep and getting so in sync that they know what you want, so they can go hunt off market properties for you. Because like it or don't like it, it's a part of the market. Trades are happening there. People are keeping them off market by design. And this is another topic we can get into for another time, if it's right or wrong from the seller perspective to do that. But Mark, let's get into your kind of buyer process that you keyed up. A buyer, someone's referred to you, a lead comes in from the internet, a friend says, hey, I'm looking at buying. What's the first kind of intake piece that you do that can and tie it together with the fact that there's a lot of stuff off market, and how that you can help figure that out, bridge that gap, and make sure you're being comprehensive with their search and not missing out on chunks of the market?
Well, the very first thing I do is coach this buyer and help them understand that there's a lot of diligence that any one person can do before they start stepping foot into homes. That's, for me, that's arguably the most important part. A lot of buyers that come to us, they've already decided on the area, which is a huge part of it. So let's say they've already decided on Hoboken being the place where they want to stake their claim. Then that's when I can really get to work for them, and we can get granular on a specific property. So we go see it together. Maybe they step foot into an open house. They come back to me. They say, this could be the one. And then the buyer's agent kicks into full gear, and we go get due diligence that is impossible for the average person to do. We can talk to the agent that's representing the seller, find out all the information that they did not put in the public market, and then we can take that, digest all of that, and then also do an analysis on the recent comparable sales, drum up as much data both on and off market that we possibly can, synthesize it all, and then help that buyer understand, okay, this is what you'll have to pay in order to win this property.
I love that. Yeah, I always try to say that point, there's two things we're going to do. One is we're going to get all the market data that's available to any human being. We're going to collect it and bring it to you. Number two is we're going to figure out the strategy for this particular property right now. What's happening? What's the seller's motivation? What kind of activities around it? synthesize those two things, get it to you to make it as best informed decision as humanly possible. All right, Christian, you're like the data guy. What else are we doing? What else are you doing there? What else do you find is like an opportunity to provide that advisory type service to a client, like once they identify a property and are ready to make an offer?
Sure. Sure. So my first step is I'm trying to get to know them as well as I can in the early part. I want to understand the psyche, and I also really want to understand if they're W-2 or 1099, because I think that's a critical element as to how we treat the home. So if I see that they're a W-2, we take a different strategy when it comes to explaining the finances. When I see 1099, all the bells and whistles go off because I basically coach them through how real estate is such a beautiful shell for tax write-offs. And then we start thinking through these things, and then they start seeing the light that, for example, if we need to be a little overly aggressive for an opportunity, they see the value add in the long run. And it takes time to kind of coach them through this, but that's the holistic, let's say, mindset I'm trying to get them into. Thereafter is really trying to get an understanding of the market, because they can be on Zillow all day and they can look at numbers, but there has to be a feel, and you have to get out there with your eyes to understand there's a big difference between 800,000 and 950. There's a huge difference between 950 and 1.1. And that sounds like it's not a material difference when it's just 200,000. 200,000 is obviously a lot of money, but when it comes to what that means in the mortgage payment, it's not really that massive of a difference. But what I want them to really feel is, what different classes are there versus what am I getting in return?
Mm-hmm.
Then the psychology starts coming in where they start understanding, and then it's putting pen to paper. It's starting to put some offers in. And unfortunately, I'd say most of the time, a consumer needs to strike out a few times to really feel it, because it's very rare to kind of go in early and kind of hit it. And if they do, they almost feel like they screwed up because they feel like they may have overpaid, or something feels off. Why in this challenging of a market am I getting my first bid?
How did
And
that happen?
yeah, exactly. Then you have to kind of explain that, hey, it was just proper negotiation. It was proper structuring. It's having a good relationship with local agents and kind of just giving them comfort that you're dealing with a true professional. You're not working with someone that's just kind of flinging it out there as a part-time job. We do this for a living. Our families eat off of the way that we perform. So this means a lot to us.
I love that. And the thing that I really heard you say there that I want to double click on for a sec is like the level of education up front. And I'm always, when I'm working with a buyer, especially, I'm always saying, look, I'm going to flood you with information. Like if it's too much, if you don't care about the stuff, tell me to stop, because I want you to be so well informed that you understand as much as humanly possible about the market, the process, the options, the different like everything I can give you. So you're as well informed. I would hate for you to make a decision, not have a piece of information, and then be like, I wish I had knew that before I made that decision. Right. So to me, it's floodgates of information, communication, and really getting in rapport with people until they say, I don't care about this information anymore. I got enough to make my decision.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Red, when you have a buyer that looks for something specific, I consider you essentially a dog with a bone. Like you're obsessed. You uncover every rock, every opportunity, every potential opportunity. So talk to me. Mark mentioned like people come to us a lot of times knowing what they want. They know they want Hoboken already. They've lived here already. They've experienced it. Their friends are here. Like we're not really very often comparing multiple markets. It happens, but a lot of times not. So people want to be in an uptown market. They want to be in Hudson T, Maxwell, something up, where you do a lot of business. How do you help that person uncover some of these things that I let in with the off-market stuff, the stuff that's not even on the market yet, the pre-market things, the people who might be thinking about selling? Like, what's that look like for you that really helps your buyers become successful in finding what they want?
When someone comes to me with something very specific, so for example, I have a 2-bedroom buyer who wants a view and parking. So, and they know they want ultimate privacy. So I know based on each building, I have identified which unit that could work for this person, for example. Or I have a buyer who very specifically wants an attached patio, not a terrace. So I know exactly where they are in Maxwell, 1400 and 1450 around the courtyard. So I can then take that information and go to those specific sellers through the database that we have and make sure that I'm following up with each potential seller to see if I can shake anything out for those people. So the second I see something, I know that it is a good fit for that person, and I'm able to get the seller to agree to allow a private showing before market, before it comes on, and get that buyer in. And ultimately, they typically do have to pay for it to not come to market if we're going to keep it off the market, the open market. So there's a price to be paid for. Here is the market data, and here's what your real market value is, and here's what this purchaser is willing to pay for you to not open it up to a bidding war. So it's a lot of relationships too. Knowing a lot of people in the area, a lot of homeowners in the area, and just having that network of potential sellers and people who own or know the neighbors who own the thing that I'm looking for.
Absolutely. And I think that's the thing you finished with having the relationships. It can be with owners, it can be with agents. Like I know a lot of times if someone's looking for something particular and it was rented out a year or two ago, a lot of times we'll call that agent and say, hey, you have a client, they're the landlord there, they look like they rented it a year or two ago, would they be open to selling it in the future? Right? Or a rental that's currently on the market. Hey, I have someone who's not interested in renting it, but they really want to buy it. Like exploring different options, going all the way down these rabbit holes and really reaching out to like just certain contacts in certain buildings that we know that might not even be in the real estate world, but we know they're super connected. Hey, Sean. Hey, Mike. Hey, like Sally. We have someone who's looking for this. Oh, my neighbor down the hall is actually, I think they're getting ready to sell. So it's a matter of like turning over every leaf, every stone, and not just waiting for things to come to market or just the easy put a post on social media, which is relevant too, is worth doing, but mailers, doing letters, like all the different ways that an agent really goes to work to find things, because there's one thing that comes on the market every 2 months, maybe, that's in your wheelhouse when you're really dialed in to a price point and to a specific property. I mean, some people's are wider, some people's are narrower, depending on how picky the buyer is. You got to explore every opportunity and not just kind of sit back on our heels, right?
To your point, I had that buyer who had that buyer fatigue, and we sourced that unit that we had for rent. I said, let's go see it. You never know. They might be willing to let it go. And sure enough, those investors were okay to let it go.
Yep.
And secured that for that buyer.
So the thing I would sum up with, like, especially in that case, is never assume in this market. If you're a buyer and you're looking for a particular property, particular market, particular the town even, make sure you know like what your agent's doing and that they have a real plan to go source property for you. Because there's a lot of value in helping you negotiate and close and navigate the transaction. Like that's you can be good at that without doing this, but you may not get to that point if you don't work with an agent who's really going to do that front end work, the really dog with a bone, quote unquote, work that I call it, to get you that opportunity to even have a great experience through a transaction. So I thought that was like
reach out to many of the top agents too. So if you know that there's agents who do a ton of business in a particular sector, don't hesitate to reach out to those agents because they probably have stuff coming. A lot of people reach out to me and ask me what I have, if I have something specific coming at the T buildings, and oftentimes I do.
Absolutely. Cool. I think that was a cool part on the initial steps of the buyer experience with us. I want to start wrapping things up here. So let's go. What's everyone's 4th of July plans? And then we'll come back next week and talk about how awesome it was in Hoboken afterwards.
Yeah, I don't mind starting there, even though I see you all with pastel backgrounds in your rooms, so you're all either by a body of water, and I'm here suffering in the concrete jungle of Hoboken. But yeah, so I was mentioning that I will be spending time with my family, a little barbecue, but the main, let's say, issue, but which is also a good thing, is getting in and out of town, because they've made a strong effort to ensure that only those that need to be here will be here over the 4th of July weekend, because there's a lot of great things going on the water. So what we don't want is having all of New Jersey in a 1 square mile. So yeah, my biggest issue is basically am I going to take the train in and out of a town because I don't want to drive and sit in traffic?
Yeah, there could be some
Yep.
gridlock for sure. I remember, what was it last year we were trying to get back into town because the fireworks were on the Hudson,
Yeah.
and it was quite the gridlock.
Yeah,
Well,
don't drive.
like Christian alluded to, a lot of Hobokenites do spend a lot of time by big bodies of water in the July and August months. So we are down the shore for the summer, for chunks of the summer. And we're going to go to Sandy Hook, I think, tonight to see those boats, all the things that's going to cause the havoc up the Hudson. They're all
Tall
parked in
ships.
Sandy Hook Bay tonight, the tall ships. So we're going to go check them out, have a couple barbecues. I don't think we're making it back into Hoboken. My dad's going to come stay at our place. Friday night, he's going to drive up. He's obsessed with seeing these ships and these boats. So he's going to sneak into town, he thinks, Friday night, park in our spot and stay at our condo, and then, see if what he can see on Saturday. And it's going to be exciting. I'm going to definitely have some FOMO. So I'm going to live vicariously through your social media posts, Christian, and all the different videos we'll see. But it's going to be mayhem, too.
I know.
I think it's a World Cup game Saturday. That's
Oh
wild.
boy. We said we were going to come into town for the 250th anniversary of our beautiful country, since they are going to have it on our river again this year. We're so excited. But honestly, I think they're going to be a little farther downtown. So even from our apartment, which looks up north to the GW, I don't
Oh,
think
the
we'd be able to
fireworks?
yeah, I don't think we'd be able
Yeah,
to.
there will be visible fireworks, but I think it will be like strategically placed. It's not going to be right in front of the Hoboken like it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
More downtown, like you said.
Yeah, it's East River. Macy's is East River, but they went farther down to the tip
Yeah.
so that you can see it from New Jersey. But Jersey City will have a barge on Saturday night.
Nice.
Jersey City's going to be wild because they'll be right down by the tip of Manhattan, closer and lower Manhattan. plus
Jersey
have their
City
own
will be a
park.
really good view.
Yeah, you have a lot of good stuff going. But Mark, what about you? You back in town by then, or are you staying away?
Coming back Sunday, so we're gonna miss
Okay.
the parade of ships. It's 48 boats from all over the world that will be going up the Hudson River starting at 9:30 on Saturday. Yeah,
Cool.
there's a chance that I just disappear from this paradise in Connecticut, but it's a remote chance. I think I'm going to be on an empty beach here,
Yeah.
which is really nice.
Yeah.
So we took a family surf lesson yesterday. The boys are becoming big surfers, and like mom and dad need to learn how to surf a little bit. And while we were in the water, I saw one of the tall ships sailing north, up right around the kind of heading towards Sandy Hook. It had like all the masks out, all the sails out. It looked really, really cool. So I'm excited to see what they look like. But all right, guys, let's wrap it up. I hope everyone has a great 4th of July weekend. This will probably drop on the other side. We'll come back next week, and I want to talk a lot about what Hoboken was like over the weekend. So Christian, you might be our sole survivor in town for the holiday weekend. Letting us know.
Yeah,
Reporting live, Christian Gonzalez.
I'll be wearing this headset.
Yep.
There is a big concert, Christian. There's a big concert on Pier A. It's sponsored by the Hoboken Business Alliance. They're expecting 50,000 people. It
town is
should
awesome.
be huge. They had 30,000 last year, and it was a brand new event.
Wow. How
This
many
town is
did we
awesome.
have? How many did we have at that last big concert? Was that Bob Dylan?
Oh gosh, yeah, that was in the 30,000. Yeah,
So this is going to surpass. Wow.
they're talking about this surpassing. Yeah, this is something.
All
I
right,
want to talk
be
about this
safe.
more next week too. Maybe why don't we do more of those? I know there's all kinds of problems. Mark knows all of them. Hopefully, we trend towards doing more concerts. I like that we're doing one 4th of July weekend, but we used to do those awesome concerts, and I would love to see them come back. And Mark, I think you're the guy that can make it happen. So next week we will talk more about that whole environment of
Events.
and concerts and things like
You're
that.
the events guy. You know everything
Yeah.
that's going on.
Mark knows everything.
Yes.
About everything. And
Let's talk.
last but not
I
least,
love-
USA, baby. I see Christian's guy. Is that a soccer jersey? We got the win last night. Is that the? I know it's just a flag. Maybe
It's just a flag, but
All right, but
yeah.
it looks like the U.S. soccer jersey. Round of 16. Here we go, baby. Monday night.
Woo!
big stuff. It's big stuff.
Belgium. It's exciting. I was tearing up watching them play Country Roads last night after the win, which I'm not a big West Virginia fan. That's West Virginia's song because I went to Rutgers. But still, it hit home, and it really, I love that we're adopting that song. So,
Yeah.
all right, guys, have a great 4th, everybody.
All right.
Yeah,
You all
have,
take care.
have a good one. Be
All right,
safe,
take care.
everybody. I don't know how